A tomato crisis is brewing in India as prices have now skyrocketed and have been hiked by as much as 300% due to extreme weather conditions. The tomato prices surged 341% year to date. It was at 24.68 rupee per kg at the start of the year. It's currently valued at 108.92 rupees per kg as per data from the Department of Consumer Affairs. And this is government data, but the sabzi mandis are selling tomato at an upward of 200 to 300 rupees per kg. Not just tomatoes, prices of other vegetables have also shot up. Fruits have been made more expensive by 10 to 30%. These are testing times for people who are trying to manage a budget and also trying to manage their kitchen. People have got to manage their food bills, pay for their daily expenses, and also ensure that they're getting a healthy, nutritional diet. Krishna, all in all, I think it's the general public that is going to take a beating. People who are hoping to continue to buy veggies are suffering, and suffering a great deal. All of this comes on the back of the fact that excessive rainfall in areas which were particularly harvesting pulses, vegetables and fruits have not been able to do so. Some of them perished because they were not supplied on time due to the cut in supply chain because of rainfall. Others because there was some sort of problems that they couldn't cater to. The crop had some sort of leak that it couldn't cater to. So all in all, it's the people in general who are suffering because prices of vegetables have shot through the roof.
Right, the tomatoes are right now costing more than some gourmet Italian cheese like burratas. That's how our mascarpones. Tomatoes, your tomato now is more expensive. Our friendly tomato, which used to be a very friendly tomato, now costs more than gourmet Italian cheese. A box of crema
I like when you say tomato. So because that makes it more real.
Because I used all the other fancy words like burrata and mascarpone, all these names of Italian cheeses. They are $300 for a 350 gram in a box, and this is $300 for a kilogram. It's absolutely. We were talking about a week ago, Shweta, about tomatoes costing more than a kilo of chicken. And now I don't know which meat it's crossing right now at this stage. And one key factor that people should remember is that, bear in mind, we are already coming on the back of a low sowing season for tomatoes this time around. Many farmers in Karnataka, specifically speaking, in Kolar region, did not sow tomatoes this time around because they found other lucrative vegetable crops like beans, which went for a higher price last year. And they saw that and they're like, might as well take advantage of that, and they sowed beans instead of tomatoes. So like that, many farmers did not sow tomatoes this time around in the first place. Add to that all the things that you mentioned, the crops being destroyed. There are delayed monsoons. The monsoons are playing havoc in different ways. In certain places there are deluges. As we speak, there's a delusion. There's absolute devastation in Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand and Delhi. And then there is monsoons not arriving, not in enough quantities at the right time in certain other parts of India. So it's been absolute monsoon havoc that is played through it with the vegetables. And another important factor is that tomatoes, unlike say onions and potatoes, tend to spoil faster, tend to damage faster. So as a crop, it becomes that much more difficult to control tomato prices. But now that the government is stepping in, we here at News9 have been talking about it right from the beginning, Shweta, when prices cost 100 rupees per kilogram. That's when we first raised the alarm bells here on News9. If our viewers watching this broadcast should go back and check that show that we did on the day that tomato prices crossed to 100 rupees per kilogram in India. And here you go, less than 2 weeks from that, you have prices crossing 200 kilograms, 300 rupees for three times that.
And that's also on the back of the fact that people are hoarding big time. And what is coming out latest is that government has finally intervened. They are going to procure tomatoes from Maharashtra, Karnataka and various other tomato producing region and bring it to Delhi NCR, perhaps lower down the prices, and the move could lower down the prices by Friday. So some sort of relief that government could provide to people in northern southern states, non-tomato producing states, and by procuring. So some steps being taken there, although a little late, but could be some relief for
I think
people.
first, I think there was some disbelief in the beginning, Shweta. Like you're talking about, that argument of hoarding happening was overplayed in the beginning. I think everybody thought this whole tomato prices going above 100 rupees was a matter of hoarding. Was a bunch of private suppliers, them cartelizing, and then that's the reason why all you have to do is figure out who's hoarding, and then you'll get all the tomatoes. Looks like it's far beyond that. It's far beyond just hoarding. And obviously now, if you are a tomato trader, obviously you'll hoard because because you never know how prices are going to go up. If you hoarded tomatoes last week, a few days ago, and the prices would have been up by another 20 to 30 rupees per kilogram in a day or two, and you can sell it for a huge delta. So hoarding is going to take place right now because you heard stories of how some tomato vendors have bouncers at their stores. They're fending people off to make sure nothing happens to tomatoes. There is security provided to tomato carrying trucks. So that these days it's like a bank robbery if you rob a truck carrying tomatoes. That's how that's where things have gotten over here. So it's absolutely essential that the government steps into it, and great to know that the government has stepped into it. And as you're rightly pointing out, things are moving fast. We are in Thursday. In about 24 hours from now is when we're expecting stocks procured by the government to arrive in the mandis of Delhi NCR, and hopefully post that we'll see some. I don't know. I don't want to say sanity, because I think we are way beyond sanity as well when it comes to tomato prices. I really hope, we are at least on our path back to normalcy. When it comes to tomato prices and vegetable prices, because let's face it, it's not just tomatoes. The veracity of it is felt most in tomatoes, but the prices of all vegetables are up at this stage, by quite a margin.
Right, and remember, southern and western regions of India are the tomato producing states. About 56 to 58% of the tomato crop comes from the excess of southern and western regions to the north of India, which is currently inundated. All in all, tomato prices could get some relief in northern India as the government starts bringing tomatoes from west, from south, and provide them at a discounted price. This is what the press release released by the government says, that we will be providing these tomatoes at a discounted rate in various places in Delhi NCR region. So some relief there for people. But as far as prices of other vegetables is concerned, Krishna, that continues to take a beating, and this is largely on the back of the fact that unseasonal, or rather seasonal rainfall, I think this is seasonal rainfall now, but the excess of seasonal rainfall has caused havoc.
Right.
In parts, exactly. I mean, look at those rates. Ladyfinger, beta gourd, bottle gourd, all of them are upward of 50, 60, 80 rupees. Ginger,
and they sound better. They sound better when you discuss tomato prices. They sound better, but they're not. They're actually quite. Look at that. Cauliflower.
Ginger is 240 rupees per kg.
Yeah, that's another problem. That's a huge problem. There's clearly, again, there's a supply issue over there.
There's a supply
issue because that is ginger is if you make ginger chicken.
Forget about chicken, I want ginger tea.
No, I know. If you make ginger chicken...
That requires way less ginger.
Shweta, I know you love your chicken. Think about ginger chicken. How much does a kilo of ginger chicken cost, roughly?
A kilo would be approximately 300 to 400 rupees.
Yeah, yes. So ginger is just right up there. If you make ginger chicken, the cost of the ginger and the chicken is equal right now. That's where things are.
So your chicken is better off without your ginger.
Without the ginger. For God's sake, find another spice. That's where things are right now. And cauliflower. Look at cauliflower prices, 180. There is an issue this time around. This is, yes, of course, this is not like it's not like, ginger is going to trade at 240 for the rest of the year. But if you don't do something right now, there needs to be, because these are not prices which people who are closer to the poverty level can deal with for very long. I mean, it's okay. It's all fun and games. People say, as like us sitting in the studio, Shweta, we're fairly well-to-do middle-class people in that sense.
And we can afford.
And we can afford the odd spike in rates and continue going about it. Maybe have a little less tomatoes for the next few months, and whatever. But because we can find other substitutes. There are so many people who can't find substitutes for onion, potatoes, and tomatoes and cauliflowers. And ginger.
These are basic vegetables.
And ginger. You're talking about ginger tea. I mean, look at a cutting ginger tea outside is going to cost you 7 rupees a cutting or a 10 rupees a cutting. Imagine the cost of ginger that's going to go. What's going to happen? You're going to charge a ginger tea at 50 bucks. You can't. So, and the amount of ginger that's needed to make 2 cups of tea.
Right.
So, I'm really concerned about people closer to the poverty level, the lower middle class, the huge lower middle class of India, who cannot keep up with these kind of prices. And also, restaurants, the small restaurants, the smaller businesses, they will not, who procure, who know your dhabas, who have to buy tomatoes and onions and cauliflowers on a daily basis. How are they going to keep up with these?
These figures are far lesser than what it's actually available in the market.
Yeah.
It says in Shimla it's available for 110 rupees. That's the modal price. But in the real mandi, and which is where you expect people to make profits, this is available at an upward of approximately 160 rupees a kg.
Yeah. So look, you're talking about Shimla. I'm guessing Shimla far more closer to the fields as possible, and then and there if it is 100. Let's remember where this thing began. It's supposed to be around 30, 40, 50 rupees a kilogram is where you're looking at 60 rupees a kilogram. Okay. Take me further. 70, 80 rupees a kilogram.
You've sold it to me, Krishna.
That's as far as I can go to. What is 100? And that's too in Shimla? 110 rupees in Shimla? That's incredible. And I'm talking the 60, 70, 80 rupees from our fancy apps that we buy in these big cities from. From where we don't have the time to go to a wholesale market and just buy from the nearest by retailer, and he's going to charge a premium for bringing it closer to your doorstep, and we're okay paying that. Even with that, it's 60, 70 rupees, Shweta. What is 300? It is. I can't believe we're even having this discussion right now. And good that in fact, you're giving me some good news in telling me that the government is now officially stepping into the matter. McDonald's burgers don't have tomatoes, Shweta. That's where we are right now. So before tomatoes go off the menu across the board, I think, and also before it starts hurting the most economically weakest sections of our society, I think it's time for a fix. It's time for things to be brought back on the path of normalcy.
Absolutely. And before I let you go, I think it's also important to touch upon the impact of these rising prices on economy at large. Now, in June, headline inflation has come in at an upward of 4%, which is not good. It's above the RBI's tolerance limit. In July, we are in July, and this is where prices are soaring. They are at an all-time high. So I'm expecting when the July number comes in, and it'll come in next month, this is not going to augur very well for the government. Headline inflation, of course, is going to be way larger on the back of the fact, and there are other factors that go into it, but on the back of the prices of food items, pulses, fruits, vegetables, it is likely to go up. So important measures therefore the government needs to take now. We are in the middle of July, and rainfall has already inundated large parts of north. There is a flood alert here in Delhi. We're sitting right next to Yamuna. There is a flood alert here. So my concerns are only exacerbated by what's happening as far as the climatic conditions is concerned.
The thing is, right now, there are two problems for the government. One is this unexpected food inflation rise, and the other is the expected oil price or the crude oil price rise, because the days of cheap discounted oil from Russia is going to be over. Bear in mind, India has been procuring oil from Russia ever since the war with Ukraine began at a discount of up to around $20 a barrel of crude oil. And now that discount is now as low as $4 a barrel, which means that we've been having a good time with a lesser crude oil price that we've been procuring from Russia. So food inflation and the other big inflation driver, oil. Those two things. I wonder how the government is going to strike a balance between these two going forward, Shweta.
All right. So of course, measures need to be taken to tame pulses, prices of food items, prices of vegetables that are at an all-time high, for as basic as a ginger to a cauliflower to onions to tomatoes. For a common man, it takes a beating on their pockets, it takes a beating on their budget, and for people who are still below poverty line, they are unable to afford 2 square meals a day. And all of that, of course, has a larger impact on India's ability to uplift poor people and to provide them with housing, sanitation, and most essential of all, food at the end of the day. We will of course keep tracking all those details, but that's all we have on this bulletin. Thanks very much for watching.